Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic. It's a very sad time here in Australia at the moment with everything that happened at Bondi over the weekend. I mean, even though Bondi Beach is one of Australia's most famous beaches, it's in Sydney. It's a good, 8 or 9 hour drive from where I live, but the whole of the country is in mourning. As I know, many of our friends around the world are sending many messages and sort of lots of stuff on social media and, the atrocities that have happened. I don't think anybody ever gets used to acts of terrorism, no matter where you are in the world. And I know that there was a massive shooting in America too last week at one of the universities, and many people lost their lives there too. It's just seems to be an ongoing thing that people can't seem to control their own anger, their own terror, their own frustration, and their own hatred for our fellow mankind. And I think that's the bigger tragedy, that we are all human beings and we are all linked. We are all brothers and sisters in some way or another. It doesn't matter what colour our skin is or our hair or our eyes or what our religion is or what our belief systems are. We are all connected. And I think that's a tragedy going into, particularly at this time of the year with Christmas, and people are trying to be happy and festive, and then, they've got this to deal with as well. So my heart and my soul goes out to all the families. They're both sets of tragedies around the world. It's a very difficult time, and just know that we are with you, even though we probably physically can't do much other than emotionally support you at this time. So that's let's move on to some more positive things. So the Simply Tarot card of the week this week, really interesting, is the card of work. Now, isn't it an interesting card to come out at this time of the year when most of us don't want to be going to work, but it's the card of work or paid work. But I also look at this card as being the card of having to work on yourself, like there's work to be done. There's issues here that need to be sorted out. And it's like, okay, let's look at these things. Let's look at the issues that are in your life at the moment and look at how we can sort of maybe improve a few things. There's a number of things that people have been working on, and I'm sure there's lots of things you've been working on this year that maybe haven't quite come to a conclusion. So maybe give it one final push and try and resolve it or bring it to a conclusion before the end of the year, or maybe put it away and say, okay, I've done as much as I can do now for this year and I'll revisit this again in 2026. And for some people, it will be the opportunity of a new job or some extra work or some paid work coming in that may have been eluding them. So whichever way it works for you, but usually to me, when I see this card, I see it as there's work to be done on an area of our life, and it isn't always paid work. So it's a nice card to come out at this time of the year because it means that we're finishing things off, and we're finishing them off nicely before we move into the new year, and the festives even first off, of course. So happy birthday to all the fellow Sagittarians. Yes, it was my birthday last week, and I'm not going to tell you how old I was. It was 21 again. And it's a magical time of the year because it's a time of the year where there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of anticipation, there's a lot of things that are going on, and there's a lot of activity. And people say it's a very busy time of the year, and yes, it is, and lots of parties and family get-togethers and things like that. And for some people, it's a very sad time of the year because they have no one special to share it with. They don't have a great circle of friends where they're sort of been invited to lots of parties and lots of gatherings. So our heart goes out to those sort of people. Let us invite them into our little show and sort of say that you're welcome here, and we think about you, and we're sending you lots of holiday cheer. So happy birthday to all the Sagittarians. It's that magical time of the year. So we've got Venus, the planet of love and affection, is also sitting in Sag. It's holding hands with the sun. So this is the perfect time if you're seeking love, and it doesn't matter what your star sign is. Get out amongst the crowd. Get out amongst the people. Go and join in some of the festive situations, things like that. Do things that make your heart sing, because this is where you're likely to meet somebody that has very similar outlooks in life as you do, that wants to get out and party and be part of the festive season, or go to a carols in the park or something like that, or sort of go snowboarding or ice skating or whatever might take your fancy. So to get out amongst the people, because this is where you could meet the love of your life. So the sun is also conjunct or holding hands with what's known as the part of fortune. Now, the part of fortune isn't the little leprechaun at the end of the rainbow that's going to bring us the pot of gold. It's where we're seeking for enrichment, where enlightenment, sort of, feeling the best that we can possibly feel in our lives. It's our part of fortune. It's what makes us tick. So it's very important at the moment for most Sagittarians is that they need to reevaluate what it is that they're doing in their lives. Are they happy with where things are going? Have they achieved their part of fortune? Are they feeling comfortable? Or is there changes on the horizons that need to be looked at in the new year? So, a lot of Sagittarians I know are very comfortable with where they are. They've done the hard yards. They've achieved what they wanted to achieve in the last 12 to 18 months. And they're sitting back and resting on their laurels a little bit, sort of saying, well, this is amazing. I've worked hard and I'm pleased I'm here, but I'm not necessarily ready to take that next leap of faith and sort of look for the next mountain to climb. And that's okay. We don't always have to be constantly searching for something to achieve. So we also have Mercury, the planet of communication, is in Sagittarius. So I beg your pardon. Yeah, Mercury is in Sagittarius at the moment, just moved in out of Scorpio. So this is a nice change because it means that we're going to be sort of a little bit more positive in the way that we look at things. But also you've got to understand the Sagittarian energy is fiery and outspoken. So with Mercury here, sometimes people can be a little bit fiery or a little bit outspoken or a little bit snappy or a little bit snarly and not meaning to be. It's just that they've got so many things that they've got to achieve. And it's like you've asked them a question, yeah, okay, and it's sort of like there's no softness there. So make sure that you put a little sprinkle of softness and fairy dust in there as well. It's really important at this time of the year. It's a great time to have conversations. It's a great time that people have got their listening ears on. People are usually in a good frame of mind. And it's a time when, we can have some of those difficult conversations that maybe we've been putting off. So, but make sure you pick your moment. Don't pick it when that person's really super busy. Say to them, when you've got 5 minutes and we've got a time for a chat, I'd really like to sit down and discuss something with you. And then you've sort of got them in the right frame of mind. You haven't caught them off guard. So we have Mars, the planet of action, has moved into Capricorn. So what this means is that, yes, there's going to be a lot of action. There's going to be a lot of action that could really relate to government or official situations. So, yes, there's some of that with some of the tragedies that are happening around the world and weather events and things like that. But for us mere mortals, it means more the fact that we need to make sure that we're up to date with everything. Don't let something slide just because it's the holiday season. Make sure you're on top of all your bills and your accounts and your car insurance and your house insurance and all those sort of things, because sometimes I think we get so busy we forget to look at the finer details of things. And Mars is asking us to do that. It's asking us to make sure that everything in our lives is ramped up, is ready, it's ready to go, that we haven't missed anything. And it's also sort of asking us to look at sort of practically the things that we might want to achieve in 2026. It's okay to have a little bit of a head start on what could happen in 2026. We don't necessarily need to launch it into action yet, but we could certainly have some ideas in our mind or jot some things down on a pad and pen or put it in your cell phone and just sort of be, have that little bit of a head start for next year. And for Capricorns particularly, this is going to be a time when you're going to feel like you've got a lot of energy, a lot more energy than what you've had for a long time. You might also feel as if time is running out, that you sort of feel as if you're not able to achieve everything that you want to achieve in a short space of time. Just pace yourself. Not everything has to be done in one day. Now, this is predominantly affecting Capricorns, but it is affecting the other earth signs as well, which is Taurus and Virgo and the opposite sign of Cancer. So if you're one of those signs, really make sure that you're listening to what I'm saying about Mars in Capricorn, because things will seem urgent. Things will seem like I haven't got enough time to sort this out, that I need to really sort of get on top of these things yesterday. Yes, you may very well, but sometimes we can ask for a little bit of extension or give ourselves a little bit of breathing space before we get ourselves so stressed out. I don't normally talk about the moon in an astrology report because the moon moves so fast, and it moves, every 2.5 days it moves into a new cycle. But I felt, in light of what's happened at Bondi and what happened in the USA, I thought I would talk about the moon today because the moon is in Scorpio. Now, the moon in Scorpio is very, very, very intense, and there's going to be some really very intense emotions, good or bad. So, there might be some wonderful things happening around the world where you're feeling very intense and very excited and very emotional and very happy and singing at the top of your voice, and that's wonderful. But for those that have been touched by either of these tragedies or other tragedies that I haven't mentioned around the world, understand that you need to be a little bit more sympathetic at this time. These people are really struggling. They're dealing with things. And quite often when a tragedy strikes, it really brings home to all of us that, how short life can be and how we can't just take things for granted, that going out to a simple event can cost you your life. You go out with great anticipation of having a family day out and look at what happened. So, we need to sort of understand the depths of these emotions. And sometimes with the moon in Scorpio here, around these sort of tragic events, we get these waves of melancholy emotions that we can't control, that we don't understand. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling as if I've just been, lost all my family in a bushfire, for argument's sake? And it's you sort of coming to terms with the emotions that may be connected to another time and another place, or something that you've locked away that you've never dealt with before. And this is the trigger to bring it out. So don't ignore these emotions, work through them, work with them, and sort of, you may not fully understand why you're feeling it, but just go with the emotion and process it the best way you can. And then you will be able to move forward, and that's a good thing. We have the North Node, which is also connected to the moon. It's not a moon, but it's one of the moon's nodes, is actually in Pisces at the moment. Now, the North Node is asking all of us, no matter what your star sign, to be able to start to look at what you're hoping to aspire, what you're hoping to achieve. Now, the North Node in Pisces says to me that, okay, we've all getting to a point where we've reached the top of something. We've been working diligently, no matter what your star sign, for a long period of time, and we're reaching the end of that. We're reaching the culmination point where we can sit back and say, that's a job well done. For some of us, this may have been a creative endeavour. This may have been a musical or an endeavour that involved a lot of energy, a lot of creative energy, a lot of planning, a lot of timing, a lot of things went into this, and it's sort of like just to see it come to fruition. It's sort of almost like, wow, I didn't realise that this day was going to come. And for some people, it might feel like a little bit of an emotional letdown, like I thought I'd feel happier or more excited or whatever. But you've got to understand that you've put so much energy into this project along the way that when it comes to the finish line, it might seem like a little bit of a letdown, but it's not. It's just saying to you that you've put so much energy into this all the way through that now you can sort of sit back and bask in the glory that's yours of a job well done. Now, for some people, they might sort of find as if they feel as if this is relating to sort of some psychic areas of their life, that they've been working on themselves, building their own intuition up, trying to understand what it is, the difference between intuition and wishful thinking. And that's a really difficult one, even for me, because, sometimes wishful thinking is what we think is our psychic ability or our own intuition. My general rule of thumb for something like that, if it only comes into your mind once, it's wishful thinking, or maybe twice. But if it keeps annoying you and keeps coming up, then it's your own intuition saying to you, you need to look at this. So, that's probably a little basic way of looking at things like that. We also have Neptune and Saturn that are finishing up in Pisces. Now, they will be there for a little bit longer now, but not much longer. And then they're going to move off and move into Aries. So it's been a long, hard haul, and it's been a time where it's affected mostly the water signs. Yes, Pisces, Cancer and Scorpio, and the opposite sign of Virgo, but it has washed over the other remaining 8 signs. It's been a time where we've all had to learn discipline in a different way. We've all had to look at how we deal with creative things and creative people, and how we deal with our own ability to sort of avoid dealing with something. Neptune is the great illusion and delusion planet, and we can delude ourselves. We can say, oh no, it's not really that way, and we wish it was this way. Oh, we'll make it that way because that's what we want it to be. And then when reality kicks in, we don't particularly like it. Oh, I didn't see that coming. Well, this is the part of the learning curve of Neptune being in Pisces, and Neptune does rule Pisces. So it's been a really intense lesson for each and every one of the 12 star signs, but more so the water signs. So that's where we're going to leave the astrology wrap up for this week. We're going to talk with Irene in Brookville in Ontario in Canada. Are you there, Irene?
Yes,
hello, Irene. Do you have a question I can answer for you, please? I'm very well, thank you, sweetie. Is it nice where you are?
Pardon?
I said, is the weather nice where you are?
Oh, God, no. I got the white stuff everywhere. It's yucky.
Well,
we got snow everywhere.
That's wonderful. So, I never make a judgment on whether people like snow or not.
Oh no, I'm over this kitty litter. It can go away. That's
Okay.
all enough in
Well,
the
I can
winter.
understand that. Okay. Do you have a question I can answer for you, please, Irene?
Um, in like what area am I allowed to ask? It's my first time. So.
Whatever you have a question for, I'm happy to answer or attempt to answer.
Okay. Is this a tarot or mediumship?
I prefer not to do mediumship in such a short space of time that we have on the show. Most people phone in because they've got something that's troubling them or something they want an answer to. And,
Yeah,
mediumship is really
financial.
okay, financial, good. Okay, that's a good solid question. Okay, the first thing that they're showing me, Irene, is this year has been sort of a write-off for you as far as finances are concerned. Every time you thought you started to get everything under control, it was like it sort of opened up again. There was a bigger mess to sort of try and sort out or work through or try and control. They're showing me there's still a little bit more of that. I'm going to say probably, and I'm being very super cautious here, and I'm going to say till March. I think it will probably ease off a lot before that, but it's sort of like by the time we get to March, it's like, oh, I can breathe easier. Like I can have a sigh of relief and say it's behind me now, that I can see clearly where I'm going. Now, it's not anything that you've done wrong, Irene. It was just a series of things that happened that didn't allow you to get on top of things. As fast as you got looking like you were in control, something else came along and bowled you over again. So I want you to be very clear on that. Don't be too hard on yourself. It was nothing that you did wrong. It was just this was part of what meant to happen. Are you looking to move?
Yes.
Oh, good, because they were showing me this question mark about should I stay, should I go? And it was like I wanted to say, how quickly can you pack your bags and go?
Yeah, that's been the question, but I can't go till March because that's when all my finances are actually supposed to be done, middle of February, beginning of March.
Wonderful. Oh, well,
So
the
you were
timing
spot
fits.
on that.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, that doesn't mean you can't start slowly starting to pack and sort things out and get ready for the move. I mean, I feel I would be sort of starting to do that once you get the festive season out of the road and sort of, be a little bit brutal about what you're taking with you. Look at something and ask yourself, do you really need it? Is it really something that I'm going to need going forward? Because, like all of us, we gather stuff along the way and we never use it. So it's a time for a really big fresh start is what they're showing me, Irene. It's sort of like I want to pare everything back to sort of not just bare essentials, but things that are important to you and sort of taking that into your new life. And that's really important. So with what you've got going on, as you said, finances sort of, coming to a conclusion around late February, early March. Is there something legal or something official in there as well? Because I keep seeing the need to sign papers.
Yeah, I did
Okay.
already. I just did that last week or the week before.
Right, okay. But they're still showing me something that's got to be signed, whether or not that's just to release it or to say that this is final, but it's sort of like I feel really excited about this, so, and it's good. It's really
yes,
good.
yes, I signed that. I signed that already today, actually, online.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that's great because
it was
I just think everything's going to
confirm.
move forward. Yeah, it's confirmed.
Yeah,
Everything's going to move forward.
Confirm what my doctor had sent in.
Right. Yeah, but everything's moving forward after this. You move to a new location and it's like I can throw the doors open to the sunshine, and let the sunshine in. That's how I feel. So it's a good thing. So I just suppose, glide through the best you can till February, March next year and, start slowly packing and look after yourself and be ready for the new life that's coming in, Irene. And that's good. So that's where we're going to leave it, sweetie. Have a very, very Merry Christmas and enjoy your time packing and sorting through your belongings. We're going to talk with Tammy now in Allen in Texas. Are you there, Tammy?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hello, Tammy. How can I help you, sweetie? Do you have a question I can answer for you, sweetie?
Oh, I am not sure. We've had a couple really rough years in our, and I was just wondering, I guess just a general.
Okay. Yeah, look, I can see that you've had, I would say more than 2 tough years. I'd say probably string it out to about 4.5, 5 years if we really wanted to
Yes.
be practical. Yeah, from when it started and it just sort of kept building. I'm pleased to say we're almost at the top of the mountain, if you want to look at it that way. We've got a little tiny bit to go, and then it's sort of like things do become so much easier. And it's, again, I want to say it's nothing you've done wrong, Tammy. It's just this is what was meant to happen. And sometimes things happen in our lives that we don't understand, that we think that we're responsible for. But, sometimes this is just part of the journey that we came to do here on earth. And, it's not until we come through the other side do we realise how much we've learnt and how much we've gained out of this. But I think this has also been not just emotionally stressful, it's been financially stressful. It's put stress on the
Yes.
family in more ways than you could
Yes.
begin to imagine. And you're a pretty tough bunch. And this has sort of almost broken everybody. We just get through one thing and we're,
Yes.
starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then along comes another steamroller. And it's like, well, how many times can you keep getting up, dusting yourself off and keep going? But fortunately, you have
Exactly.
managed to do that. So has your husband sort of been finding it difficult to sort of settle into work or get work that he's happy with?
He passed away 9 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
hear that. Well, that makes things
Yes.
even more difficult, doesn't it? So
Yes. Yes.
who's the male then that's around you that's looking for work or looking to get into something else?
That I don't know.
Okay, because they showed it to
I'm
me
not
as somebody
sure.
that your age group. That's why I assumed it was your husband, but it's obviously not him if he's passed away. He's not looking.
No, I don't know.
Well,
Nobody that I can think of.
okay, all right. I'll just leave that with you because that could be just something that
Yes.
it could be somebody that's coming into your life that's going to be important to you, moving forward. I mean, just because you're a widow doesn't mean you're going to spend the rest of your life on your own either. So,
Yeah.
but to me, these financial things and these other things that kept snowballing weren't just a
Yes.
direct result of losing your husband. These seem to have come separately.
Both, and then I've had to raise grandchildren on just what I make. So, yeah, it's been a little bit different and tough.
Mm-hmm. Why do I sort
financially.
of feel that there isn't as much family support as I'd like to see?
Well, my mother has passed away, grandparents passed
Mm-hmm.
away, so it's just my younger daughter
Mm-hmm.
and I. So there really isn't.
Right. Yeah. No, it's just,
Yeah.
it's sort of been like there's been nobody there to hold you up. You've been there to hold everybody else up. But when I look around for who's going to hold Tammy up, there's nobody. Well, literally nobody.
Uh,
You had to hold yourself up.
yes. Yes.
And I'm not saying your daughter hasn't been of a help, but I'm just saying, there's been no grown up there to sort of say, well,
No.
okay, Tammy, it's going to be okay. Like I'll give you a hug and we'll get through this. We'll find a way.
Yeah.
So,
No. And that's the thing too. I wasn't used to making all the financial decisions, and I have not done well
Mhm.
with that.
Yeah, okay. Look, you mightn't have done, in your opinion, well, but you've got to stop being so tough on yourself, Tammy. You made a decision at the time that you thought was the best. It was the best that you
Yes.
could do with what you had. So don't look at it that they weren't right decisions. You couldn't have made any better decision than what you did. Yes, okay, maybe in hindsight we can look back and say, oh, if I'd done this or done that, things might have been different. But look, you did what you could do at the time. So I don't ever look at anything as being a mistake. We do what we can at the time with the resources and the money that we've got. And you did
Well,
that.
thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. Thank you. I need to hear that.
Now you've got to. Yeah, but now you've got to look at, well, okay, look, if you only had $100, you can't make it stretch to 300. It's impossible.
Yes.
It doesn't work like elastic, wish
Yes.
it was, but it's. So you did what you could do. And I'm sure when your husband passed, that was an unexpected thing. You weren't expecting to lose him and
No.
all the things
No.
that
No.
go
No.
with
No.
that. And it's not an easy time. Unless somebody's been widowed, they do not understand it's not just losing that person. There's a ripple effect that goes on for a very long time after it, of decisions and choices and things that have got to be sorted and whatever. It's not
Right.
just losing that person. It's a big event. I know, I went through it many years ago, and people don't understand.
Definitely.
It's not just the
No.
emotional loss. It's a loss of everything. It's a loss of the whole
Yes,
way
and
of
he was,
life. And
yeah, he was just 54 too, so it's just like,
yeah, and
yeah,
that's
we
too
weren't
young.
prepared for
You
that.
don't anticipate losing somebody that young. No, of course. And,
Yeah.
and other people don't understand that, because they think, oh, well, she's okay, she's doing okay, but you're not. There's many, many
No.
layers to this, and you still had children to support
Yes.
and all those sort of things. So, I can certainly assure you 2026 is going to be the start of a turning point for you, where things are going to get a lot easier than
Yay.
what they have been.
Um,
And and it's good. And look, your late husband has never stopped being around you, but they can't just magically pull strings from the other side and put money into our bank accounts or anything like that, like some people think they can. They can't do that. All is they're there to do on the other side is to try and keep us as emotionally strong as we possibly can. They can't pull strings. So, and
well,
nor should
that's
they.
interesting that you say that, because it's just been this last year. It's kind of funny that it's been harder than like the first couple years, because you're just so busy.
Yeah.
You're just trying to survive.
Mhm.
And this
Mhm.
last year's just been really hard with grief and missing him. And it's been a while.
Yeah, and that's not uncommon, because, like you said, you've been so busy with everything else, and this is the first time there's been a gap where you've allowed yourself to be
Yeah.
able to grieve. You know what I mean? You've had time to grieve.
Right.
And look, for me, it's been 40 years, and I can tell you I still have bad days.
Right. Yes.
Even though I've
Yes.
moved on and done a lot of things in my life since then, raised the children and got grandchildren and all those things, but there's still times when you feel that hole, no matter how happy and
Oh,
fulfilled
yeah.
you are in your life, because that was somebody that was so important to you. So don't ever look at it as that you shouldn't be feeling that way. He's always around you, and he's always guiding you and the family. Anyway, Tammy, that's where we're going to leave it. Have a very, very Merry Christmas, and look forward to next year. It's always interesting at this time of the year. We feel the loss of loved ones more than we do at other times of the year. It's, this the special occasions. And as I tried to explain to people, it doesn't matter whether it's 12 months or 50 years, you still have the same pain that, filters in and out from time to time. So, and it's just that's the way it is. And you need to keep some of those traditions alive, your Christmas traditions alive, because they're the important memories that keep that person close to you, even though they're no longer here on earth. So this week I want to leave you with a different twist to a Christmas carol. Look, I just love Christmas, as you can gather, and I love Christmas music, and I think it's always uplifting and makes you feel happy and makes you feel sort of like there's some excitement in the world, there's things to look forward to. And I'm always looking for different songs that sort of, really sort of share with us the spirit of Christmas. And unfortunately, a lot of people that really sang beautiful Christmas carols are no longer with us. And it's their legacy that they leave behind that we can treasure and listen to year after year. And this week, I'm talking about one of the world's greatest singers, and he's been gone for 20 odd years now, the one and only Lou Rawls. And he's one of my favourite singers. I know I mentioned David Cassidy and John Farnham a lot, but I have a lot of favourite singers, and I really love the Negro sort of soul sort of music. And this week I want to leave you with Lou Rawls' version of Jingle Bell Rock. And I think it's time that we all get a bit of rock and roll in our lives and start to feel happy with all the tragedies that are going on in the world. Let's put some magic back there, and let's all sing the Jingle Bell Rock together. So until next week, have a nice week. Bye for now.